Thank you for watching QTV. With the news, my name is Diana Sumbwe. We take a look at stories making headlines. President Edgar Lungu has met the China International Water Electric Corporation delegation that intends to invest into the construction of Batoka and Kalungushi hydropower stations. Infrastructure Development Minister Ronald Chitotela has justified the $4.3 million United States dollars spent on the construction of the Michael Chirufya Sata Toll Plaza on the Ndola Kitwe Dual Carriageway. And government has released 4 million kwacha for the distribution of relief food to valley areas of Eastern Province, which have been hit by a critical hunger situation. And now the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu has met the China International Water and Electric Corporation delegation that intends to invest into the construction of Batoka and Kalungushi hydro power stations. The delegation met President Lungu at State House to express their interest to invest in the two hydro power stations. The news reports that company general manager Louis Zhengzhu said his company would like to build the power stations on a public-private partnership PPP basis with the Zambian government if the tender is accepted. Mr. Zhengzhu says his company is willing to work with the Zambian government in the energy sector to implement hydropower, solar and wind energy projects.
This visit to Your Excellency is mainly for our interest and to work together with Zambia government for the energy field, especially in the hydro development, which including Batoka, which has been followed by us for many years, and another one is Kalungushi hydropower plant. We also follow this one. This Kalungushi is located in the border of Luapula province and Northern. Yeah. For this, for Batoka, this is 2,400 megawatts, and for this Kalungushi 247 megawatts. We three gorges, we mainly work for the investment. Say that investment and build own operation for these issues. So we.
And speaking to journalists after the meeting, Minister of Energy Matthew Nkua said his ministry has received about 15 letters from bidders who have expressed interest to build Kalungushi and Batoka hydro power stations. Mr. Nkua says the successful bidder will be picked under laws once the process is done. He says government is undertaking a transparent selection process by allowing all interested investors to tender for the projects. The minister disclosed that the successful bidder will only be picked once the feasibility studies have been conducted by the World Bank. He says the World Bank is currently conducting feasibility studies to evaluate the cost of the projects, but stated that the projects may gobble in excess of 4.5 billion United States dollars.
This delegation visiting State House. This delegation that has visited State House today is a delegation that wants to participate in construction and running of Batoka and Kalungushi power stations, hydropower stations. So they are interested. They just came to leave their CV and their profile so that we can look at it. But we have advised them that we'll be calling them in so that they can bring their expression of interest, and we'll shortlist to 6, and then from then on, by mid of January, we should be able to look at the shortlist and we'll be able to give you the people that have been invited. So it is an open tender, really. They just came to express their interest verbally, but eventually they will do it in writing and give us their documents.
How many of
Housing and Infrastructure Development Minister Ronald Chitotela has justified the 4.3 million United States dollars spent on the construction of the Michael Chirufya Sata Toll Plaza on the Ndola Kitwe Dual Carriageway. In a ministerial statement to Parliament, Mr. Chitotela says contrary to assertions that the toll plaza cost 52 million kwacha, The true cost of the toll plaza in the local currency is about 38.27 million kwacha. Mr. Chitotula says, according to a report published by the Iowa State Road Department in the United States of America, the construction of a plaza on a 4-lane road like the Ndola-Quito-Duo carriageway is estimated at 12 million United States dollars. He says this is contrary to claims that other countries in the region have constructed toll plazas at a cost of 500,000 United States dollars. The minister states that the 500,000 United States dollars is not even enough to procure the tolling system installed at the toll plaza. He adds that the Michael Chilufya Sata toll plaza is the largest constructed in Zambia to date, designed to process at least 17,000 vehicles per day without adversely affecting the flow of traffic. Mr. Chitotula has also disclosed that as at 30th November 2018, a total of 6,615,635 kwacha has been collected from the Michael Chilufya Sata toll plaza since it was commissioned. And Mr. Chitotula says comparing the cost of construction, the Michael Chilufya Sata toll plaza and the house for 4th Republican President Rupiah Banda is not rational whatever criteria used. He says this is because there are two completely different facilities and hence there is no basis whatsoever of comparing their costs due to the differences in design, scope and requirements.
Contrary to assertions that the toll plaza cost 52 million kwacha, the true cost of the toll plaza in local currency is 38.27 million kwacha. The cost breakdown, Mr. Speaker, is as follows. Civil works, $1.8 million. Buildings, $707,000. Tolling systems, booths and equipment, $161,700 United States dollars. Power supply and related installation, $270,000, $573. Signal light systems for the traffic control, $58,000. Surveillance systems, $143,000. Designs fees, $95,739,000. The preliminaries and generals, $319,130. Value addition, VAT, $602,517,000 United States dollars. Contingents, $159,565,000, bringing the total cost to $4.3 million.
Government has released 4 million kwacha for the distribution of relief food to valley areas of Eastern Province which are facing a critical hunger situation. Eastern Province Minister Makebi Zulu says the funds are intended to cushion the hunger situation in Mambwe, Lumezi, Nyimba and some parts of Petauke districts. Mr. Zulu disclosed to Zanis in Mambwe that government has engaged the Adventist Relief Agency, ADRA, and CAMCO in the distribution exercise, which is scheduled to start immediately. He, however, noted that the province may require 20 million kwacha to procure and distribute adequate stocks of relief food for the whole region. Mr. Zulu notes that this is based on an assessment that was carried out by the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU. He states that 4,000 by 50 kilogram bags of maize were initially released to Lumezi district, which was severely hit by hunger. The provincial minister notes that with the onset of the rain season, the hunger situation is expected to reduce by February as the crops will have ripened in crop fields. Last week, some parts of Eastern Province reported a critical hunger situation where people reported to be surviving on mangoes. Traditional leaders in Africa have asked President Edgar Lungu to lobby for a permanent seat for them in the African Union, AU, ahead of the summit next year. The chiefs in Africa want a permanent seat for traditional and cultural leaders to work together with national government on the transformation of African cultures and customary issues affecting the continent. The traditional leaders are hoping that if they are given a seat in the African Union, they could work together with governments as well as AU to deliver true dialogue on the prevention and transformation of African cultures and on developmental issues and customary issues that affect African governments. Chief Chikanta, who led a delegation of chiefs to State House, said the traditional leaders are lobbying for a seat through President Lungu, who is African Union champion in the fight to end child marriages on the continent of Africa. Chief Chikanta led a delegation of chiefs to State House to meet President Lungu to brief him on the outcomes of the consultations and dialogue meetings they held with traditional leaders and cultural institutions on ending child marriages and female genital mutilation in Africa, held in Malawi and Nigeria.
With the chiefs in the lead. And then, apart from that, Your Excellency, we feel it is also very, very important that we seal the legal gaps that we have. At the moment, what we have, Your Excellency, that we have the consensual sex rights at 16 years. And then we have also marriage age at 18 years. So if there is any deferment case to a child at the age of 16 or below, there is deferment. But the Constitution guides us that the minimum marriage age is 18. So what happens to the child who is at 17? So we feel if this consensual sex right is scrapped off and align all the laws that speak to ending child marriages to ensure that only 18 is recognized, then this will be okay. And if this is done, then we feel there must be a prescription of penalties for those people who are marrying off children who are below 18 years of age. And lastly, we feel raising the age of marriage to 21 years instead of 18, I think it would be highly beneficial. Because according to the Zambian education system, we feel as traditional leaders that at the age of 18 years, children are still in school mostly.
And President Lungu says he will take into account the proposals of the traditional leaders as he goes for the AU summit in January next year. The president says there is need to do more as a continent in the fight to end child marriages, but noted that Zambia has made strides, hence the country leading the fight. The head of state says most of the bad cultural practices in Zambia have since been discarded, except for male circumcision, which he also doubted if it was being done in the traditional circles. He said he will engage stakeholders and partners on the hosting of the Chiefs National Indaba to see if they can help with logistical support, because the proposed event has not been budgeted for in the 2019 national budget.
We've always said that the face of poverty in Africa is that of a girl child and the woman. And that as long as women and girls remain economically disadvantaged, this problem will continue. I'm saying so because we have experiences where people prefer to trade off girl child through reckless early marriage in the belief that the whole family will be emancipated from their poverty levels by making a kill economically. Most times it turns out not to be the case, and the poor girl ends up more miserable and so on. So we deny the potential of some of our people to realize what they have into being great and useful citizens by subjecting them to this. I know that some of the most harmful practices might not be commonplace now in Zambia, except for male circumcision. I am yet to hear of where FGM is happening in Zambia, but I'll be guiding because some of these things don't reach us. But I know that Zambia has made strides, and I think we're not champions for nothing, we're champions because others have seen what we are doing. So I challenge that all traditional leaders should want to be champions in their localities so that Zambia truly is seen as a champion. So we work together, Your Royal Highnesses, and I'm sure that we can succeed within our lifetime and our generation. And then I know that some of you are head and shoulder above others in terms of effecting successes and making sure that there is less and less of child marriage and all these early pregnancies. But we are saying that
it's not enough. We should go for zero child marriage.
The chiefs in Torridge consisted of Chief Chikwanda of Muchinga Province, Chief Chikanta of Central Province, Chief Mazimawe of Eastern Province, and Chieftainess Muweza of Northwestern Province. Speaker of the National Assembly Patrick Matibini has noted the dire need for definite measures to be taken in the context of the ongoing reform of the Public Order Act to ensure that members of Parliament are able to execute their representative functions properly, efficiently and effectively. In a ruling on a point of order raised by Mazabuka Member of Parliament Garin Kombo, who wanted to know whether Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo was in order to allow the police to defy the resolutions of the meeting of 2013, chaired by Speaker, which resolved that members of Parliament can or cannot notify the police when they are having meetings in their constituencies, following the arrest of Rond Member of Parliament Jishimba Kambwili recently. Dr. Matibini has urged members of Parliament to seize the opportunity presented by the reform of the Public Order Act to settle the issue and challenges relating to engaging their constituencies. Dr. Matibini says in view of Mr. Nkombo's point of order, he has no material or evidence at his disposal upon which he can make or reach a conclusion, and pronounced that Minister of Home Affairs Stephen Kampyongo and the police service had defied the resolution of the 2013 meeting.
Be that as it may, honorable members, the fact that this issue has resurfaced today in 2018 demonstrates that there is a dire need, if I may venture, for definite measures to be taken or put in place in the context of the ongoing reform of the Public Order Act to ensure that honorable members of Parliament are able to execute their representative function properly, efficiently, and effectively. I therefore urge honorable members, as legislators, to seize this opportunity presented by the reform of the Public Order Act to settle the issues and challenges relating to engaging constituencies in the constituency conclusively.
Higher Education Minister Nkanduluo says no single university in Zambia has been downgraded to a college status by Oxford University, contrary to social media rumors. In a ministerial statement on the alleged downgrading of universities in Zambia to college status, Professor Luo says it is not possible for a single university in the United Kingdom to downgrade all universities in Zambia. She says the requirements for a candidate to obtain a Rhodes Scholarship for study at Oxford University did not refer to the downgrading of any university in Zambia. Professor Luo explains that the requirement by the Rhodes Scholarship Selection Committee for a Zambian scholar to get additional qualifications in the neighboring countries was necessitated by the difference in the grading of qualifications between Zambia and the United Kingdom with regard to honors degrees. She says additional requirements of an additional year to obtain honors qualification outside Zambia does not mean downgrading of Zambian universities, but that this is necessitated by the structure of the Zambian education system.
Mr. Speaker, as a country, the lessons that I draw from such an advertisement as Minister of Higher Education is that we should ensure that we introduce honors degrees in our educational system. 2, we should change our marking and grading system in order to align ourselves to other practices, with a view to standardize internationally and thus be able to meet the different demands and requirements of the various scholarships being offered. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude my statement, I did not see and read from page 1 to the last page of the advert where they talked about downgrading universities in Zambia to a college status. Allow me, therefore, to take this opportunity to urge the nation at large to desist from being the bearers of negative sentiments and energies. We have only one country, and if we destroy it, posterity will judge us harshly.
University of Zambia UNZA lecturer Professor Bizek Piri says now is the time to rectify lacunas in the Republican Constitution. Professor Perry says doing so will ensure that in future interested stakeholders do not go back to the Constitution Court seeking interpretation on the same laws. He has also advised political parties to put behind the Constitution Court ruling on the eligibility of President Edgar Lungu to stand in 2021. Professor Perry has encouraged political parties to instead start re-strategizing for the 2021 general elections. He states that while issues of the law bring about different interpretations from the general public, stakeholders need to respect the ruling made by the court. On Friday last week, the Constitutional Court ruled that President Edgar Lungu is eligible to contest the 2021 presidential election.
Those are things that we need to work on so that next time around we don't find ourselves back in the court trying to challenge what the court has said. But for now, all the political parties, they need to follow and appreciate what the court has ruled, and then prepare for the 2021 elections as far as the court has ruled. As far as the PF is concerned, a decision has been taken. They have a president, they have a candidate for 2021. For the other opposition political parties, all they need to do is work together and find a candidate that can challenge the PF candidate. I don't think that it is really in anyone's interest to go about trying to challenge what the court has said, because that becomes a waste of time. It's now to try and say, okay, how do we strategize for 2021? If we are going to get the PF out of power, which candidates are we putting forward?
Health Minister Dr. Chitalo Chufya says the construction of the 180 million kwacha Levi Mwanawasa Medical School is nearing completion, with construction works now at 95% complete. Speaking to journalists after inspecting the ongoing construction of the Levi Mwanawasa Medical School and University Teaching Hospital in Lusaka in the company of Presidential Affairs Minister Freedom Sekazwe, Dr. Chilufya says the hospital is expected to address the challenge of congestion at the University Teaching Hospital UTH. Dr. Chilufya says the health system government is pursuing in order to attain health for all involves creation of new infrastructure and building human capital, among others. He adds that once completed, the Levi Mwanawasa Medical School and Teaching Hospital will quadruple bed space for tertiary level services. Dr. Chilufya states that the Levi Mwanawasa Hospital will have modern equipment for diagnostic, among other specialized medical services, so as to ensure quality healthcare in the country.
Now to include 856 more beds, 850 more beds. That means that now we are having a facility that is going to be beyond 1,000 beds. This will change the way we provide tertiary level care services in the country. We are now going to quadruple the bed space for tertiary level services. Levi Mwanawasa Central Hospital will have the modern equipment for diagnostic and for therapeutic purposes. Levi Mwanawasa will also be the training hub for advanced healthcare workers. Levi Mwanawasa will also be the center for medical tourism. Because of the advanced tertiary level care we'll be providing here, we'll be attracting patients from outside Zambia.
And Presidential Affairs Minister Freedom Sekazwe says the hospital, which will soon be part of the training facility, is a very important health facility.
So once this is done, we expect to reduce the pressure on the UTH, because all the referral cases can do it. So with this, we feel it will help a lot on the performance of the ministry in terms of taking services closer to the people. The other beauty about the location of this hospital is that if you speak to the ministry, they will tell you that we are trying to bring specialized doctors here, trying to avoid, we've been spending a lot of money to do some of the operations outside the country. So we have been told that once this hospital is completed, some of these complicated cases that have been referring outside the country will be done here. So to us, we think it will be a great achievement. It will
Secretary to the Cabinet Roland Msiska says failure to recognize the power of the media to transform society has made the Zambian media very deadly. Mr. Msiska has observed that the media in the country has not realized that the manner in which it disseminates information is sufficient enough to distort facts on a matter. Speaking during the Policy Monitoring Research Center PMRC 2018 Media Award ceremony in Lusaka, Dr. Msiska says this is what makes media personnel to be some of the most powerful individuals in the country. Lazarus Chula has more in this report.
The media is considered as the fourth estate in any given democracy. This is because the media plays an outstanding role in creating and shaping of public opinion and strengthening of society. But Secretary to the Cabinet, Roland Msiska, is of the view that failure to recognize its power to transform society has made the Zambian media very dangerous. Dr. Msiska has observed that the media in the country has not realized that the manner in which they disseminate information is sufficient enough to distort the facts on a matter. Speaking during the Policy Monitoring Research Center PMRC 2018 Media Awards in Lusaka, Dr. Msiska said this is in fact what makes media personnel to be some of the most powerful individuals in the country.
The comment you make as you are running a story is sufficient to distort what you are actually saying. So in your hands, you are probably one of the most powerful individuals in this nation. And because you don't know you are that powerful, that's what makes it even more deadly. So today, I want you to understand that just changing the perspective changes the image. Now, you can sit down and fight. If I'm looking at it this way, I'll be saying it's a horse. And you are looking at that way, I will say it is a frog.
Speaking at the same event, Minister of National Development Planning, Alexander Steme, encouraged the media to continue giving credible checks and balances to government. This was in a speech read for him by his Permanent Secretary, Mushuma Mulenga.
To this effect, I hereby call upon the media to be patriotic and responsible in relation to the kind of information that is put up to the public. Let us all join to build a positive Zambian image both within and internationally.
And PMRC Board Chairperson, Margaret Monakatwe, has held the relations the Polish think tank and the media have. In a speech read on her behalf by PMRC Vice Chairperson, Mtale Chanda, Mrs. Monakatwe, who is also Minister of Finance, states that the media remains PMRC's #1 channel for information sharing and dissemination. Earlier, PMRC Executive Director Benedict Decker also recognized the role that the media plays in making known to the public the policy think tank's research findings.
Despite the hurdles in delivering PMRC's mandate and responsibilities, we commit to reiterate the importance of the media in the dissemination of research findings and policy recommendations.
The media has a huge challenge to ensure that all news and information shared on various platforms is credible and espouses ethical conduct and moral duty of the profession. The media plays a critical role in the formulation of public opinion, and this role must be carried out with all the highest level of honor and responsibility.
The PMRC 2018 Media Awards were held under the theme Awarding Excellency in Development Policy Reporting. Q News staff from Mango Chileshe scooped the best reporting in the radio category. Lazarus Ichula, QTV News.
Government has acknowledged that skills capacity enhancement in the construction sector is vital in responding to short, medium and long-term demands for residential and infrastructure development, as well as maintenance provision in a more efficient and professional manner. Works and Supply Minister Mutotwe Kafuaya says this is because the construction industry is currently experiencing a tightening in the supply of skilled labor. Mr. Kafuaya says the construction industry continues to be a growth sector contributing significantly to the economy of Zambia. Speaking when officiating at the Lafarge Zambia Contractors Workshop, Mr. Kafwaya says it is for this reason that government will continue investing heavily in the development and maintenance of education, health, transportation, communication and power generation infrastructure. Mr. Kafwaya has commended Lafarge Zambia for complementing government's efforts in ensuring that the general populace benefits from the affordable housing and commercial properties through efforts of a well-skilled labor force.
You know, colleagues, it is a desire of His Excellency, Mr. Edgar Chagwa that we do supply as an economy skilled workforce who are going to provide advice to clients which will certainly leave our clients happy. My colleague here made reference to sustainability, and is a theme I would like to take forward, because my own understanding of sustainability is we have to add value to ourselves. And as we do so, we have to think of adding value to others. But not only that, we have to think of adding value to future generations. Speaking of the Kariba Dam, which was given quite good life by your product Lafarge, and now you are saying you want to add another 200 years to the Kariba Dam. None of us will be there 200 years from now.
Speaking at the same event, Lafarge Zambia Interim Chief Executive Officer Raphael Chipoma said the workshop will not only bring value to the contractors, but also provide an opportunity to strengthen the link between the material producers and the industry. Mr. Chipoma notes that sustainable construction can only be achieved with continuous improvement in the construction designs, materials used, and home building solutions.
Sustainability is quite high on the global agenda these days. We have to be aware of the impact our activities have on the environment. So one of the aims of this workshop is actually to address the sustainability agenda. May I state that sustainable construction can only be achieved with continuous improvement in our construction designs, the materials that we use, as well as the building solutions that we deploy. That is why, as Lafarge Zambia, we've taken it upon ourselves to provide necessary guidance and support that is needed.
And National Association of Small and Medium-Scale Contractors President Mutale Mpepo has commended Lafarge Zambia for providing skills to local contractors through the workshop.
We expect when we go out, to go out with something where knowledge is concerned, because the speakers we have invited are knowledgeable people. I'm sure we have invited also those who give, you call them what talks? Motivation speakers. We have also invited them. They will motivate you as well. Where you want to doze, they will come in.
Government has been challenged to explain whether or not the delay in launching the national airline is as a result of the pressure it is receiving from the World Bank. Former Minister of Transport and Communication William Harrington wants government to tell the nation whether or not the World Bank has advised against going ahead with the launch of the airline. Mr. Harrington says Zambians also need to know whether or not the concerns the World Bank and other donors had on loss-making parastatals in the past are no longer there. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Harrington has recalled that in the past, the World Bank had threatened to stop supporting Zambia if it did not restructure loss-making parastatals. Mr. Harrington, who was a cabinet minister in the Frederick Chilwa MMD government, says this is why it could be interesting to hear from government whether or not this position has now changed.
So these delays are a source of concern. But as former Minister of Transport and Communications, or Communication Transport during the Chiluba era, I want to ask government whether the IMF and World Bank, as well as the position of the multilateral donors, has changed, because at that time we were told by the then Minister of Finance, Mr. Ronald Benza, may he so rest in peace, that government needed to restructure and get rid of loss-making parastatals like Zambia Airways at that time. Otherwise, they were not willing to fund Zambia's structural adjustment program. So it will be interesting to hear from government whether their position has changed and whether, in fact, this is one of the reasons or the main reason why government it continues to delay this launch of the so-called new Zambian
Copperbelt Province Permanent Secretary Bright Nundwe says heads of government departments should be innovative and use their academic qualifications to improve service delivery in the region. Mr. Nundwe says government is expecting heads of government departments to perform exceptionally well in all sectors so as to improve the delivery of services to the public. He says the public officers should have personal appraisals to determine their levels of commitment, which should be coupled with academic qualifications to enhance performance in the districts. Mr. Nundwe was speaking during a provincial management meeting. Meanwhile, Provincial Education Standards Officer Dominic Nyambe says the school attendance has improved in rural districts of the province because of the improved infrastructure. And Copperbelt Province Public Health Director Robert Zulu says there is need to intensify the indoor residue spraying exercise to help reduce on incidents of malaria in the province. The Bank of Zambia has stressed the importance of the Mukuyu Tree Heritage Site in Kabwe, where it has spent 370,000 kwacha to maintain and preserve the site, sparking a social media backlash. Speaking during a media tour of the site, Bank of Zambia Assistant Director for Communications, Kanguya Mayondi, says the central bank attaches great importance to the country's heritage and considered it its duty as a corporate citizen to whenever possible contribute to its preservation. Mr. Mayondi says that the Mukuyu Tree Heritage Site is very important, not just to the residents of Kabwe, but the Central Province as a whole. We have more in this report.
The Mukuyu Tree Heritage Site in Kabwe, also known as the Big Tree, is one of the major landmarks in Central Province. According to residents of Kabwe, a person who has been to the town but has not seen the tree has actually never been there. According to history, this was a resting place for travelers who were going as far as East Africa during the colonial rule. In order to provide a sustainable solution to the maintenance and preservation of the site, the Bank of Zambia entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Kabwe City Council and National Heritage Conservation Commission. During a media tour of the Mukuyu Tree Heritage Site, Bank of Zambia Assistant Director for Communications, Kanguya Mayondi, says the bank attaches great importance to the country's heritage.
Our hope is several-fold, one of which is that the residents of Kabwe will be able to not only appreciate, but be able to come here and rest. The place of rest, as we have been told, is here. The other hope also is that school kids here in Kabwe and country will be able to come here and learn a little bit of history about this place. It's important. History is always important. I don't think most of us would have been where we are now without being a little knowledgeable, just a tiny little bit about history.
And National Heritage Conservation Commission outgoing Regional Director for East Central Region, Kagosi Mwamulowe, explains the importance of the site.
It is used as one of the features on the Bank of Zambia notes. So you can see the connection between national heritage and Bank of Zambia. In case we may be wondering, say, how did Bank of Zambia get interested in this tree? They also have a history to it, or they have got a connection to it. It is on the Bank of Zambia note. Not only do we have this tree on the Bank of Zambia note, a tree which is of heritage value, we also have the Zambian burbot, a small bird which is only found in Zambia. If it is found anywhere else in the world, it means that bird has just been exported.
This development has elated the residents of Kabwe.
So wakumula beni chukapo waenda so chankala bwino chungazikomo kuli bamene banadganiza so banadganiza bwino umba abatandise kali ndiponso abadalise
yajitia mtu twamfa bwino atete tule mulemba wefekyalo kutubigeko mipando mukuyo tuli so that bantu baletushako balefuma patali. This place is good. But we will go a man. I go back at least 3 Garako. You want to go back to a Moktari, at least I go over there to shop.
Papa Pachimti Parapene, in shop Alakusa. So Chichimti, charge by special community ones. Because Chichimti, she went off in Galanda, Bantu. Who do you want to say? Emini na shepano peni chwe alefuma kumafamu alefuma kundola alefuma kurusaka alefuma kuisa nipano peni ngateshibu kwako.
Martha Katambi reporting for QTV News in Kabwe, Central Province.
A Kapero Ward councillor in Livingstone, Margaret Mutale, has hailed the improved delivery of healthcare services in Livingstone. Mrs. Mutale says with continuous modernization of the Livingstone Central Hospital, which falls under her ward, people are now able to access quality health care. She has referred to the construction of the hospital's new surgical complex for the eye and dental clinics as one of the modern facilities that has contributed to quality delivery of health care. Mrs. Mutale is happy that Livingstone Central Hospital is now catching up with the University Teaching Hospital.
I'm in charge of this ward and the hospital that we're querying about, the eye clinic and the central hospital together with Batoka Hospital is in my jurisdiction, it's in my ward. Yes, so maybe that's why the interest now is focused on me today. So, but I'm happy to report that with the upcoming of Mulungushi University that is going to partner with the central hospital, it's now a central hospital. We are more or less catching up with the University Teaching Hospital in as far as the services are concerned. The eye clinic, the dental clinic, and all those areas of interest where, you know, we used to have referral letters going to UTH. But it's no longer the case. The hospital now is able to make sure that at least the people are serviced locally. And we are also happy to say that even Zimbabweans and our neighboring people, they are coming. And the infrastructure is going to, it has been revamped.
To end the news, we take a look at stories making headlines. President Edgar Lungu has met the China International Water Electric Corporation delegation that intends to invest into the construction of Batoka and Kalunguishi hydro power stations. Infrastructure Development Minister Ronald Chitotela has justified the $4.3 million United States dollars spent on the construction of the Michael Chilifa Sata Toll Plaza on the Ndola Kitwe dual carriageway. And government has released 4 million kwacha for the distribution of relief food to valley areas of Eastern Province, which have been hit by a critical hunger situation. On that note, we come to the end of the news. From me, Diana Sumbwe. Thank you for watching.